Core Gundam is back, and this time it's absolutely nothing to do with Hiroto. This is the Gundam Anima Rize. Hold on, what is that? Is that some kind of crystal Earthree? Forget about the Anima Rize. That is awesome. And what do you mean that armor comes pretty much free on the runners, never mentioned anywhere? Now that's a pretty cool extra. Anyway, back to the review. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and today I'm taking a look at the high-grade Build Divers Re-Rise Gundam Anima Rize. As far as I know from the katakana there, it says Rize. It looks like it says Rise. It would make sense if it said Rise, but hey, I'm gonna stick with Anima Rize. This, of course, is from the offshoot manga, Gundam Build Divers Rize. And if you do want one of these of your own, there is a link down there in the description with a 5% off coupon for Hobbylink Japan. Anyway, here we go. So that right there is what the high-grade Anima Rize looks like out of the box, just slapped together with some panel lining. As usual, I used grey and black on the white, some black on the red, and I used brown on the yellow parts, just in case you're curious. Also, like I mentioned already, that this comes pretty much free in the box. So when I say this, I mean just the clear sections of the armor. So this does use a runner left over from the high-grade Earthree, just for some parts, but all of these are cast in clear on here. But before I get into this and that, I might as well talk about the box and what comes in it so you know why we've got this crystal armor. So taking a pretty snappy look around this box, this is a pretty awesome box art right here. We've got the Gundam Anima Rize right there, Core Gundam in red over yonder, flipping around to the first side of the box, and we've got a front and rear image of what it will look like finished. We've got a bit of a blurb right there about the mobile suit, which you can read at your own leisure as usual. And around here on the other side, we've got some of the features of what we'll see in here. So we've got some cool animal-based stickers that look very unique, a lot of cool smoky gray clear parts, a question mark shaped beam saber, and a red Core Gundam. Inside the box then we've got a grand total of 9 runners. They can be split up as so. These are brand new for the kit. That's 5 new runners. And these 4 right here are from previous kits. These are split between the Planet System 2, and Core Gundam, but the most interesting aspects are the fact that we've got a Planet System unit left over. This would be a Planet System 2, so the type of one we would have seen with Yrevan, and everything after that. And this, of course, is the most interesting one here. So this is left over from Earthree, but it's in different colors. So the kind of pinky maroon here, they would have been used on the pinky maroon parts. The translucent blue here, that would have been the chest effect. The orange up top would be for these cheesy orange parts here. And finally, what is the most interesting aspect is all the clear parts here, which would have made up all of these. So I will mention, if you do want to build what I've built right here, you will need another kit. And that kit, of course, would be the Earthree, because the white sections you're seeing on here are not included with this kit. I just took them from the Earthree I had already. Also, the joints that you can see inside of there, those also are not left over with this kit. We do have those joints, but we have to use them in the Anima Rize itself. So technically, you would be able to partially build this clear Earthree armor using only this kit, using the joints that are in the Anima Rize itself, but you won't get the full thing without having parts from the high-grade Earthree, but it is pretty cool. If you bought a second Earthree for using with the Mercu-1 armor, then you will have these parts left over. Also, I will mention the Core Gundam I used to build this is the G3 version that came with the V2. I just thought the colors would match ever so nicely. But anyway, back to the high-grade Gundam Anima Rize, and this is one unique take on the Core Gundam. There's that full 360-degree spin, so you can see every angle, every little bit of this, just in case I forget to mention something. But this is a whole lot of colors. So on here we've got white, a purplish gray, red, maroon, orange, yellow, and my absolutely favorite aspect has to be that smoky, clear, well, black. Underneath that, we've got those stickers that don't pop unless they hit the light, which is a cool effect. This is without a doubt a crazy unique design, and I'm sure it's going to divide a lot of people. I totally dig it though. A lot of what we're seeing here pretty much looks like what we would have seen before with the various different types of Planet System Gundams. The V-fin is actually really cool on this. The face has a lot of detailing. I absolutely adore the big old flat feet. But the thing that is obviously the coolest aspect about this has to be those little stickers in behind those shadowy clear parts. The whole look of this thing, the animal vibe, those stickers flashing off inside of those clear, smoky black parts really gives me a bit of an 80s vibe. I'm really trying to put my finger on what this reminds me of. There's probably a lot of robots and stuff that I don't know about that have this old school kind of feel, but to me it instantly reminds me of Visionaries, and yeah, that's probably showing my age right there. Anyway, moving on. So now moving on to the accessories, and here is the high-grade Gundam Anima Rize with absolutely everything that it comes with. So of course we've got the Anima Rize armor, which is already attached. We've got an alternate set of hands. These are the ones that can separate. The ones that are attached are solid pieces. We've got the beam saber with an alternate effect part, which is the beam whip. We've got the beam rifle and 2 adapters. And just a quick mention of the leftover parts, there is the parts that can make the clear Earthree armor. Once again, it is just the clear parts you're seeing here, not the Gundam. We've got a planet system back there, and oh, somehow I didn't notice, we've also got a widespread extra hand in here. Nip it out, come on, you don't belong on there. Also left over in here are some parts from the Core Gundam 1, which is its shield, V-fin, beam sabers, and some of its backpack, just in the Anima Rize colors. So as for the included hands, we've got those ones that split apart that we would have seen in the original Core Gundam, but we also have the ones that are one solid piece. So these we would have seen with the Core Gundam 2, and these are nice and solid. Also, like we just saw, we do have a dynamic left hand for nice dynamic poses. So checking out the weapons now, and first up we've got the beam saber, and as you can see, there seems to be a little bit of an issue with the beam. So this is just a little flat slot connection part, and it just doesn't seem to fit in well at all. This is just, well, just super wiggly. I don't find this, however, with the other part, which is the beam whip. This one actually fits in nice and snug and does not move, so that's a little bit strange. If you've got this kit, how do you find your beams? Is the same thing happening to you, or are both of yours secure? Let me know down in the comments. To attach this, it just pops into the hand, and like I mentioned before, there are 2 types of hands in here. One type does not hold this particularly well, so that would be the one that can separate in 2. However, the one that is just one solid piece can hold onto it perfectly fine. So there is a quick example of what the high-grade Gundam Anima Rize will look like with its beam, well, question mark. Or beam whip, like it says in the instructions. So the next of the weapons we have in here is the beam rifle. In the end here is the same core spray gun we've seen so many times before, and the only thing that is different is this new end here. According to the instructions, this is to represent or look like the tusks of an animal, and like I mentioned, the rear end is just the core spray gun we've seen multiple times before, and this end is just 2 white parts. Once again, attaching this is extremely simple. Just pop it into the hand just like so, and that is what it looks like attached. So the next couple of things we have in here are these adapter parts. So of course these are for using pretty much with anything that you like. This one here has the Core Gundam attachment point. On the back of it is the standard backpack attachment point, and this has the standard backpack attachment point and an extra 3mm hole. This can be used whatever way that you like, and the example in the instructions is for using it with the Mars 4 armor, also in red. Also, I totally forgot to mention earlier on that this section that was around there on its butt flap can be used as a shield, and we have a hole up here in the shoulders for using the armored arm parts on an action base when they're not attached to Core Gundam. Also, I'm pretty sure someone out there will want to know what this crystal Earthree armor looks like on the red version of the Core Gundam, and I'm going to do that after the articulation because I don't want to take the armor off yet. So here we go. So as the articulation on here I assume is pretty much the same as Earthree, let's bang through it pretty quickly. The neck here is your typical 2-point polycap neck joint, does exactly what one of those does, giggity 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 goo. The shoulders are a polycap socket, but because of the style of this kit they do not move, just the ball joint right here. The shoulder armor is attached to the arm, so it all moves together. We've got a bit of a joint here, full rotation at the upper arm, there is the bend at the elbow, ball joint wrist, non-existent ab crunch. However, we do have a ball down here that doesn't give you a whole lot really, mainly just rotation from there to all the way around. The front skirting armor, as usual, comes connected on the runner, but you can snip those apart for independent movement. No side skirts on this kit, and a paralyzed, paralyzed butt flap. Nothing special inside the waist this time around, just a standard stationary peg. As for the kicks, there's all the way up to the front, very nice. All the way out to the back, blocked. And as for the splits, the armor actually gets in the way. Full rotation here at the upper leg, 2-point bend at the knee, very nice for something with a foot sticking out the back. And the ankle is a 2-point mechanism, so we've got this joint up here that allows the foot to flex and extend, and then we have a ball joint up front. As for the functional movement we get on the ground, all the way to the back is ridiculously good, to the front is quite blocked, and there's the side to side, so pretty much all you'd want except that blockedness to the front. So on the whole, the articulation is, well, quite basic, but you're going to get pretty much all you're going to want out of it, except at the waist. Also, the build on this is as good as you'd expect from a variant of Earthree. Now let's get that armor off! So as for the adding and removal of the armor on this kit, it is 100% identical to everything we would have seen before. If you've built one variant of the Core Gundam with armor, then you've essentially built them all. It is nice though that we do have two sets of hands in here, like we would have seen with Core Gundam 2. So that means you don't have to be constantly swapping the armor from the back of the hands back and forth all the time. So that is a nice extra, but remember, one set of those hands can't really hold the beam sabers. So anyway, there is the Core Gundam out of the armor, and as for the Rize armor, this does not have anything like a stand like we would have seen with the Alice Core Gundam. It doesn't have a planet system, technically. Doesn't have a planet system, I should say, because there is one in here left over on the runner, and as far as I can tell, if these will fit on him, I assume they'll fit onto this as well, if you wanted to. Personally, I know absolutely nothing about the manga, and from the gist I'm getting in the instructions here, they just seem to fly around on their own, somewhat like bits, maybe? But the last thing I want to see in here is what this crystal Earthree armor looks like on the little guy, and I'll pop this Rize armor onto the G3 Core Gundam. But before I do that, there's the full 360-degree spin of what this version of the Core Gundam looks like without the armor on. So essentially this is exactly the same as what we saw before, just in red. The head is quite different, it's got a short V-fin, the muzzle is incredibly detailed, and the backpack round back only has one attachment point for a beam saber. But besides that, essentially what we saw before. So if you want to see the articulation, etc. of this, check out the Earthree review. So that right there is it for the review, and while I'm giving the gist of what I think about this particular kit, right now in the background you can see what the red Core Gundam from this kit will look like with that crystal Earthree armor, and what a standard Core Gundam, this time being the G3 variant, will look like with the Gundam Anima Rize armor, which I will admit looks pretty damn cool. So on the whole, this is definitely a very impressive kit. I love it. It's a great take on the Earthree, but I feel some people might be put off a little bit by the color. To me, it's still just as good as Earthree and Jupitive were, so that makes this kit, to me, gold tier. Also, you do get the little extras in there, which are actually functional this time around if you do have some leftover parts from an Earthree you built before, especially if you had to buy a second Earthree to build the Mercu 1 and had those leftover parts. This right here is a solid kit with a whole ton of options, some cool weapons. The beam saber will need to be modified ever so slightly, the standard beam that is, because it is a bit loose. The articulation, once again, is probably one of the most limiting factors of this kit, but that does make it good and strong for when it's loaded up with the armor. And on the whole, this right here is a pretty awesome kit. If you do want one of your own, there is a link down there in the description, as well as a 5% off coupon. And as always, make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I will see you next time. Once again, I cannot finish this video right here without thanking each and every one of you guys. Whether you just watch my videos, like them, or support the channel on the channel memberships and over on Patreon. Like Craig Jerry, Greg Humphrey, Kaiser721, Tyler Sanders, Caleb Engelhardt, Sean T, and the ambassador for asymmetric cats.